Welcome to No Movies in Hell. I'm Chris Geiger.
I'm Nicole Scott. Welcome to episode
20.
I think it might be.
Okay.
Wow. Congrats to us.
Yeah. Episode 20 is Spider-Man No Way Home.
The latest Marvel film.
I was a little bit mad about when it first came out because it pushed out all the other movies. Like the screen time that was dedicated to this means that Flea only got 1 week in Lincoln Center or Lincoln Square. So I completely missed that. I had to see Red Rocket in a matinee because I couldn't find it in the evening during its first weekend.
Yeah.
It pushed out Nightmare Alley. Oh, sorry. It pushed out, not Nightmare Alley.
I know West Side Story it pushed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was mad. Like, I like a good comic book movie as much as the next guy, but it doesn't need to be every screen, everywhere, during all the prime time slots. Like, that's no.
I agree. However, I mean, I don't know. I agree, but I mean, the demand is there. I think they started pre-sale, gosh, I want to say like a month early for this film. So I think that kind of gauged the demand of people going back to the movie theaters. And then they kind of expanded it out in terms of offering more theaters, which yes, bumped a lot of the smaller budget films to matinees and or one showing per day, which sucks. But there are I think there are lots of repertoire theaters in New York. So, it's not going to show at like the Nighthawk in Williamsburg. It's not going to show at the Village East, I think. It's not going to show at Metrograph, obviously. But your AMC or your Regal is going to be like 95% Spider-Man with one Spider-Man show for kids and one showing of West Side Story at 9 a.m.
Well, and the other thing too, and I posted this on the Instagram feed, is how are you calculating opening weekend tickets, right? Like revenue. So it came out and it's this huge number for opening weekend for Spider-Man No Way Home. But if you gave it all the real estate, did you do that for all the other movies? And I don't remember that happening. So how can you realistically compare box office from this weekend for this movie where you gave it everything to box offices from weekends before where you maybe gave it a lot, but you didn't give it everything, like Avengers, Infinity War? I don't remember that blowing up in terms of pushing everything out the way this did.
I think it did. It did.
Did it?
Yeah, but it was done. So Infinity Wars came out, I want to say in May of 19. So in March of 19, they had a film. And then it was like basically like right before Memorial Day weekend, they pushed Infinity War. So it gave it a little extra time to for people to see it. But there was such a lead up to it because the previous year, it was a cliffhanger moment. So they knew that it was going to do well. I think it actually is the number one Marvel, or maybe it's number 2 Marvel film behind Black Panther. And then now it's Spider-Man, but Spider-Man probably not as high as grossing than Black Panther. Because the budget for this one was really high. But also they've pushed it. I mean, I don't think they pushed it. I think they purposefully did it, holiday season due to COVID, unfortunately. But also they have I mean, this stuff is like planned out for a while. So it's like they have to do things, release, their films in accordance to like whatever, is streaming on Disney Plus, as well as the stuff that's coming out next year. So it's tight windows that unfortunately other films can't really work around. Like they try to work around it, especially since it's Oscar season now. So it's like the smaller films are trying to get seen by the Academy. There's no way, I mean, I can't say that for certain, probably special effects or like editing, but like Marvel films are just not Academy Award winning films. They just need to get out in a certain time frame because they have a schedule where people are going to see reoccurring characters or different storylines from comic books and the like. So, and it's an unfortunate clash of timing.
So that being said, I did see it. I liked it. Oh, the other thing I was going to bring up is even if you didn't cram all of the theaters with people, right? If I really wanted to see Spider-Man No Way Home and it was sold out the first weekend, does that keep me from going the next weekend? Like, I get that you don't get to count that in the box office revenues for opening weekend, but I'm still going to see it. I'll just see it the next weekend. You know what I mean? It's not like that money goes away forever. It's not like, there's this perishable time frame in which people lose interest and will just get distracted by something else. The people who really want to see it are going to go see it.
Yes. Well, I mean, I see these Marvel films opening weekend because people suck and they spoil things. And I don't want anyone to spoil it for me. And also there was an incentive to see Spider-Man. So we are Stubbs members. I think I'm like the freemium tier a Stubbs member, but I got an email that said, if you see they're doing 86,000 NFTs for Spider-Man. So if you purchased a film, like a ticket, ahead of the opening on, I think it was December 16th, then you were eligible in April to claim. So I think that, there's probably like 1 million people who are interested in NFTs, but still, and US based, even smaller than that. So maybe we'll say 500,000 or so. So there's still, people who are interested in claiming. And then there's also like the FOMO factor of, if somebody's talking about it, I want to be up to date. And I don't want to be spoiled because then it'll, make me mad. And then I'll have to see it, but then I know like things that are coming up, which is unfortunate, but it happens in social media.
Right. We can talk about the premium add-on because I don't feel like they needed to do any of that. Like people are still going to see it, like it, and that's so. I was in advertising for a long time. I feel like advertising for advertising's sake is something that I have mixed feelings about, but okay. But that being said, I did like this. I haven't seen very many Spider-Man movies in the past. I feel like every so often they reboot with, it's like the Matrix, right? Like every so often we start new, there's a new guy in the Spider-Man costume, but it's basically the same story.
Yep.
And I didn't feel like I needed to see that over and over again. There's lots of things I haven't seen yet. Why am I going to watch the same story over and over? So I didn't see any of the Andrew Garfields. I think I maybe saw part of the first Tobey Maguire.
Okay.
I'm generally familiar, there were cartoons, there were TV, like movie, so when I was growing up, so I'm familiar with the Spider-Man story enough that I felt like I could go into this without having any of the recent background. And I felt like that was a good choice. Like I didn't need to go back and watch any of the old ones. Love Marissa Tomei.
Oh yes,
in everything.
So great as Aunt May. She's like great. The cool hip Aunt May, and I really like that they decided to do that in this cinematic universe. I mean, no slight to Sally Field. She was the Aunt May in Andrew Garfield's universe, and I forgot whom in Toby's. Like, I don't know.
I did see Marissa Tomei in on Broadway in The Rose Tattoo. She was awesome in that. So I'm big fan, just generally.
I really like this film. I'm a Marvel fan. You know, I think this is probably going to be a fan favorite film just because I think a lot of fandom expected this to happen. And there was like I've seen this movie twice. So I saw it a couple days ago, and then I saw opening night. Opening night, I was sitting in front of some folks who had seen it the night before. So I saw it on Thursday. There were a gaggle of people behind me had saw it on Wednesday, and they knew exactly what was going to happen, which was very annoying for me. And there were multiple times with which they would scream in my ear when things happened, and it was not a very good time. But overall, I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed seeing it a second time when I had seen it with some family members, and they love Marvel films, can't really get out much, saw it, and they were just blown away. I love seeing crowd reactions to things in films, and there are a lot of elements that I liked of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I think that he is the Spider-Man. No offense to Toby, no offense to Andrew Garfield. Just this childlike wonder and this innocence of almost like bringing villains into your home is like the funniest thing. Like you're a kid and you're like, you see a homeless person, you're like, oh, why are they homeless? Like, I want to help them. And your parents are like, wait a minute, are you can bring them things, but don't bring them to our home. I liked so many elements of this. I really like Doctor Strange. I was just kind of like lukewarm on him before, of course he's been through the whole gamut with Infinity Wars and everything else, and obviously he's playing a big part in terms of multiverse, all this fun stuff, but he really comes out as the MVP for me, as the voice of reason, that person that like as an adult you really need in your life to level set and explain like you can't do things and things have repercussions, and here is why. So yeah,
I thought his character was interesting. We did Power of the Dog a couple of days ago, our review of that. And so of course he plays a very different character. I've never been a huge fan of his. I don't know why. He seems like a good actor. I never saw Imitation Game, but I have limited exposure to him. In this, I thought he was a little bit all over the board, and not him personally, right? But his character is a little bit, it's written in a way that seems inconsistent. So he's incredibly powerful, right? He can create all of these things, like make things happen and cast these spells. But then when this spell goes wrong, he looks at these 3 teenagers, 2 of them are just normal teenagers, and says, fix this. Like that seems a little inconsistent, right? Like because he's an adult, right? He understands the repercussions of this not getting fixed. And yet he's willing to say, all right, fix it. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Fair enough. Yeah. I guess I didn't catch that, but it's like, if everything had gone right, then this would have been like a 15 to 20 minute film.
Right. Which is my point of view about most superhero movies, or, so yeah. But I did like it. I like the callbacks. I like I didn't even know probably most of the callbacks, but I feel like bringing Tobey Maguire and bringing Andrew Garfield and bringing the villains from their movies. I mean, I didn't see the movies, but I recognize from I guess osmosis over the years, like, oh, Willem Dafoe was Green Goblin. Oh,
Yeah.
like that guy was the octopus guy. So I get that it was a big deal to bring all of them back, and I appreciate that. So, yeah, I thought it was great. I'm not mad anymore, I guess.
You're like
I'm
rolling your eyes, like I'm not mad anymore.
I'm not mad
But the
anymore, but
next
don't
time
do it
that a Marvel
again.
film disrupts my quality movie time, you're
Right.
real. I forgot. Is it Martin Scorsese? That's basically like Marvel films are just like not films. They're like
Oh,
amusement park rides.
no, I mean, I think comic book films are a reliable source of the digital artistry that's available out there, right? So they do an amazing job of special effects, or what I consider special effects, which is that post production add in of a layer of graphics that make other worlds seem real.
Mm-hmm.
There's no better place to see that really than in a comic book movie. And I think, to me, Matrix is a comic book movie. There's so many
Yeah.
movies that are just, they're superhero movies, basically, when you drill down to what they are. And they provide amazing outlets for artists who you'll never know their name, right? They just
Yep.
scroll by in the credits as a list of 500 people who worked on the graphics of this movie, but it's amazing. And so much effort is put in, so many resources for these movies. I mean, that's
Yep.
probably a significant portion of the budget that goes into that. And especially with movies that are made during COVID, I think there's a much heavier reliance on things that can be done digitally and don't have to be actually there when the filming takes place.
Mm-hmm.
So props to them.
Yay, COVID. There's like COVID units. I saw that actually in the Matrix, in the not the trailer, the
credits.
end credits. I was like, oh cool, there's like 5 people who probably have to like wrangle and like control and test and make sure everything's okay. And also like Keanu had multiple chefs in Berlin, but that's a whole other that's a whole other conversation.
I did, I don't normally watch the credits, especially when the movie is 2.5 hours long. Like, I don't stay unless it's a Marvel movie and I'm waiting for like that little thing at the
The
end
end
that
trailer in the mid. Yeah.
I'm not going to understand it, but I wait for it anyway. But so in the Matrix, I was watching the credits roll by, and the number of stunt people involved
Oh yeah.
in the production is amazing. And then they have like stunt coordinator, and it's one guy. And I thought, wow, that guy's either really good or very busy, or probably both.
Yeah. Probably both.
Right. Or his
Um
name is actually the name of a company. Like, and there's 20 of
like a
them.
caterer.
Right.
Cool. So what were your scores for
Oh, yeah. Let's pull up the slide.
for Spider-Man? I'm so curious to see. I know you were very, very bummed about the distribution.
Yes.
But you gave it a decent score.
So yeah, I give it 26, which compared to my Nightmare Alley scores is pretty good.
There just wasn't any jewelry in this one. I mean, would I count the web slinger? Like, no, actually I wouldn't. So yeah, technically there really wasn't any jewelry.
I only gave costumes a 2 because I thought they could have done more. It was
I thought
really,
the costumes were great.
they were okay. So, and because I don't know the Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, but what's his name? Tom Holland's Spider-Man costume is like jazzier, right? It has like different colors and it's like gold, and like theirs are just the old plain Spider-Man.
Yeah. I think that was the point. So like one is like the amazing Spider-Man. Then the other one is like Spider-Man. And then you have this Spider-Man who, he's an Avenger, and he has access to Tony Stark's technology to make his costume like have more effects, right? Like there was when Doc Ock shows up on, I think it's the BQE, and he has the spider costume that like kind of emerges from just the tap of a button to help the Chancellor out of the car. So he has a lot more like technologically advanced enhancements, whereas the other two, are literally pulling created their costumes from scratch and have like different backstories, whereas they were not part of the Avengers, and they have no recollection of that because in their worlds never happened. So I like that part of like, okay, they're one is the very hokey Spider-Man, and then the other is the super dramatic Spider-Man, and then you have this one who's like just so hopeful and optimistic, and this was the movie where it like broke him, and he wasn't as happy and optimistic as he has been in the other films, and it's kind of sad to see, but like I guess that's the difference in the costumes there.
So that's just one example, though. I felt like they could have stepped it up in other ways, like the costuming in other ways. It's a comic book movie. I want to see like crazy shit.
Well, I mean, Doc Ock's costume actually is pretty good with special effects compared to like, I guess if you watch the second Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire, it was like puppetry. So it's vastly different. What I can say is the Max, who is played by Jamie Foxx, who I thought did a great job. He was blue, little blue man in his Spider-Man movie. And now he didn't have to be blue, had like the whole, Electro was just energy. And I thought the jokes were just on point about the whole, like, how did you turn into a villain? Well, he fell into a vat of eels. The Sandman, fell into a particle accelerator. And then like the lizard guy wanted everybody to be lizards, which is very silly. But I thought that, the costuming for the villains were great. Even when the Green Goblin was trying to be, I guess he has multiple personality disorder, and he was trying to play the kind of desperate, homeless person that needed Aunt May's help. He had that hint of green in his hoodie and like his coat, and it was clear that he's leaning towards, this empathetic character, but then, underneath it all, he's still the bad guy. And of course, I love Aunt May's costume or her clothing. Like, I would love to shop her closet.
Okay. I can see that. I don't have the same context referencing back. So to me, the costumes, I just felt like, I don't know. I feel like I wanted more. The story I thought was great. It seemed very original to me, having not been familiar with the comic books at all. I don't know if this was written into their story, and so other people were expecting this to happen, but I certainly wasn't expecting to see old Spider-Mans reappear. So I thought that was great. And it will encourage me maybe to watch future Spider-Man movies if I can see something that I haven't seen before.
I think it's possible.
Dax said there is an animated version, or not maybe version, but there is an animated Spider-Man Into the Multiverse. He watched on a plane, and he thought that was really good. In fact, he recommended that I watch it. I tried to watch it on the plane coming back, but it wasn't available on that flight. So
yes, you should definitely see the Miles Morales Into the Spider-Verse. Yes, it is very good.
Okay. Do you have any? Oh, one other thing I wanted to say. So Rice Ilfance is one of the villains in this movie, right? Is he the Sandman?
Oh,
No,
he's the
the
lizard.
Yes. He is also Rasputin in The Kingsman.
Oh.
Yeah. So I always see him. I think he's great. I always see him in things and think, who is that guy? Like, he looks so familiar. He's a great character actor. He just melts into whatever he's in. But I've seen him in a ton of stuff and I never know who he is. So unsung
It's very
hero.
true. For some reason, I thought he was Tim Roth, and I thought Tim Roth was the lizard in this. And then I was like, oh no, that's not him. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I still like. I'm gonna see The Kingsman this week, so
Okay,
I
I
definitely
just
need
saw
to
it yesterday.
be on
So
the
we can
lookout
do
for
that
that.
one in pretty soon too. The thing
Yes.
was, when I saw the poster for The Kingsman, I thought, who's that guy playing Rasputin? He looks so familiar. And I had to look it up. I couldn't just do it from memory. But Bryce Evans, good on you, man. Seamlessly integrating into every character.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to plug for this episode?
Like, subscribe, and donate. NMiH.eth.
.eth. That is awesome.
Anything that you'd like to plug?
So nothing that I'd like to necessarily plug for us, but on Instagram, someone reached out to me because I did a post about the tragedy of Macbeth. It came out this
yes.
weekend. Awesome.
I'm gonna
Highly
actually
recommend.
watch that tonight. So
Oh, awesome. And they reached out to me. They also have a film review Instagram account. And they said, hey, how did you see this? It's not out on Apple TV yet. And I said,
Really?
well, I live in New York. I saw it at AMC Lincoln Square. It came out this weekend. And actually, this person lives in Indonesia.
Okay.
So they're seeing a lot of things streaming. But their account is Vulture Eye. And so we are now following them on our account. And
Hi,
so
Vulture Eye.
yeah, I've looked at their feed. The aesthetic looks really clean. I like the way it looks, and their content is great. So I'm plugging them because why not?
That's awesome. Maybe they can recommend some films to us. That'd be cool.
Well, he's already done like his favorite actors. Like he did one about his favorite actors. He's done a post about his favorite films from 2021. I don't necessarily agree with all of his reviews, but that's what a review is. It's an opinion. So yeah. All right. Well, that is it for this episode then. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.